Alright, Schlockmeister fans, we're going to check out Silent Madness, classic 80s horror movie. Let's check it out. The movie starts in a mental ward, mental home of some sort.
Dr. Van Dyke told me it's time for me to go. My mother...
There?
That's Dr. Gilmore, the woman.
Yes. Dr. Kruger said we were scheduled to release more patients.
How can you and Dr. Kruger keep releasing patients as disabled as Romano? This is the 5th one in the last 2 weeks.
Talk about a patient named John Howard.
I'm positive I signed a release for John Howard. I mean, I realize we can't afford to...
Roger, no need to go on. I'm sure there were proper and justifiable reasons for retaining them.
Dr. Gilmore does some sleuthing, and she finds out that they accidentally released Howard Johns.
Howard Johns?
A schizophrenic, crazy... There he is.
Oh my God. They released the wrong man.
He kills the boyfriend, and then he kills the girlfriend. So Howard Johns is on the loose. There's another victim. And he's bringing her to this boiler room, where he promptly puts her head in a vice. You see, he's been to this boiler room before. This is at the sorority house, where he allegedly killed like 8 women years earlier. Gotta keep this hush-hush, though.
I wanted you to be the first to hear the good news. I'm on my way to Anderson's office now.
I don't think you'll be disturbed, Dr. Anderson, right now. I've got a meeting with her myself shortly.
Sorority girls upstairs having fun.
Wait a minute, I can't even think of it. Stop! You stop that! You slut! You...
That's the house mother. That girl then heads to the boiler room, where she's promptly attacked. She briefly escapes, but she ain't gonna make it out of here alive.
What do you mean?
It's really quite simple. You see, Howard Johns was not discharged, as the papers indicated. The record should have read deceased.
Dr. Gilmore goes to speak to Sidney Lassick, the sheriff,
Well, look, Dr. Gilmore, you see,
where the sorority murders took place years earlier.
well, I wasn't just born with this. Mr. Johns did this to me.
She's not convinced the doctors are telling the truth, so she goes back to the sorority. She's going to learn stuff, goes to the local newspaper office.
Take a look at our back issues. You're welcome to. But you could...
She meets this guy, Mark.
Waiting through all that material.
She even pretends to be an alumnus in order to stay at the house.
My native sister at Boston, and I thought, since I'm in town, maybe I could spend the night here. This is the week to crash. Not many of us left with the fall break and all.
Miss Collins, the house mother, tells a story in flashback what happened 20 years earlier.
Come on, Cody, harder.
Howard Johns spying on some hazing.
And he was only 19, why not?
They teased him.
Finally, he struck back.
And he killed all of them.
Oh, I'm not so sure. What if I'm wrong? What if he did die last week?
What if you're right?
If I'm right, I think I'll find John somewhere in Barrington.
And I will be obliged to do the chivalrous thing.
What?
Protect you.
Sure enough, she runs into him in the boiler room.
It's nicer.
What's going on?
Mr. Hackman, please, come quickly. There's someone in there. He just grabbed me.
Of course, they can't find him. I don't think they searched too hard, though. She's not entirely sure that was Howard Johns because she's never actually seen him before, but she thinks that might be him.
The little lady herself told me he might be dead. Anyway, I'm waiting for some more information from the hospital.
But I'm telling you, I've seen him at the school. The security guard was with me.
So clearly there's a cover up there. They're informing the sheriff that he's deceased.
That's the best news I've had since the mayor dropped dead.
I don't care.
care what they say. Don't you understand? They're trying to cover up.
The doctor sends these two thugs to go get him.
What he looks like. I want this job done quietly. No uproars. We want him back. But it's more important that he isn't found.
They're thinking of getting Dr. Gilmore, too.
Member of the staff. You're gonna have one hell of a ride back.
I think you've forgotten that we've got to get Johns out also. Oh my God!
Now some bodies are being discovered from that first couple we saw. That's one of the sorority girls. That's her sister, dead. One of the sorority girls playing Dragon's Lair. Another one exercises upside down. Exercise girl is next.
Oh my God! Oh! Oh my God! John! Oh, hurry!
Mark runs into the hospital thugs.
Find Dr. Gilmore. You don't understand. He may have killed some people already. If we don't, restrain him, throw him in the back, and bring me my things.
So thugs are trying to corral both Johns and Dr. Gilmore. And there's total chaos now. The action moves down to the boiler room.
Jesse, the cattle prod.
Well, they've zapped him.
Those two bitches kill me.
That's enough. That's enough.
Now Johns had tied up Dr. Gilmore.
Emotion.
This guy's going to take advantage of her being tied up. But oops. A fight ensues. Thugs are dead. Dr. Gilmore's escaped. But a chase ensues. She eventually finds her way out. She's got herself a piece of glass. He's tied up, but he's going to try to shoot the gun anyway. Not a great idea. Mrs. Collins comes in and somehow soothes the beast. Then it all gets figured out. That's his mom. Turns out Mom did all the killing years earlier.
Mrs. Collins killed the girls 20 years ago. Well, she told me all about it, about how the boy was illegitimate. She had the baby secretly and gave him a maiden name.
All right, let's talk about Silent Madness. Now, this is a brand new DVD put up by Vinegar Syndrome. This is one of their Black Friday sales. It was one of the surprise titles that they didn't tell you about ahead of time. So I was pretty excited about this because even though Wikipedia says when they released this last month, it was the first time it had ever been released on disc in any way, shape, or form, that's incorrect because it actually did get a PAL DVD release overseas somewhere, and I do have it. As you can see, it was put out by, I don't know, some company. I remember reviewing this on my previous channel. Quality isn't all that great. It looks more like a VHS rip, but nonetheless, it did have a DVD release. So there you go. This one is 1,000 times better, by the way. A lot of extras, all kinds of good stuff. Anyway, what we have here is an 80s horror movie starring Belinda Montgomery. She is a doctor, like a psychiatrist at this mental facility, and a patient gets released. They're supposed to release John Howard. However, due to a snafu, clerically, they release Howard Johns by mistake. Now, Howard Johns is a psychopath. In fact, he killed like a dozen sorority girls 20 years earlier, so he's been locked up ever since, and they just released him by mistake. Well, her superiors, her main superior actually says, we got to keep this quiet. I don't want this getting out. She disagrees with that. We got to warn people. She goes above his head, but then that doctor says, well, wait a minute, we just made a mistake. We didn't release him. He wasn't discharged. He was deceased. So Anyway, Dr. Gilmore, Belinda Montgomery, doesn't quite believe that, so she decides to go back to the sorority where these murders took place 20 years ago, because she assumes, well, if he escapes, he's going to go back there. Of course he is, right? So she investigates. She goes to the local newspaper to get a story about what happened 20 years earlier. And she decides to pretend that she's an alumnus so she can stay at the sorority. I guess it's fall break. There's not a lot of kids there right now, so they welcome her in. Come on in. The house mother says it's okay. So she talks to the house mother, who's played by Vivica Linfors or something like that. I think she was the Bedelia in Creepshow, actually. And she tells a story about how Howard Johns was teased by the girls during some hazing rituals they were doing. They flashed their boobs at him and spanked him, and then he went nuts and killed them all with a nail gun. So he's been locked up ever since. Well, she runs into Howard Johns in the basement, does our Belinda Montgomery, Dr. Gilmore. She tells the local sheriff, Sidney Lassick, by the way. Sidney Lassick doesn't believe her. In fact, Sidney Lassick gets a fax from the doctor's office saying, he's dead, don't worry about it. So he believes that doctor instead over her eyewitness viewing of him. But nonetheless, Howard Johns starts killing people one by one again. Eventually, her superior back at the mental ward sends these two thugs out. You got to go get Howard Johns, get him back here, and take care of Dr. Gilmore, too. So they go. Chaos ensues. They're trying to get both Johns and the doctor, and Johns basically takes care of the two thugs. She escapes. Eventually, there's a showdown between her and Johns, and then the house mother comes in, and Howard Johns gets totally distracted. He's like reaching out to her, and he's like, calm. It turns out, because while his back is turned, she then takes a shard of glass, does Dr. Gilmore, and kill him by stabbing him in the back. Well, the house mother goes nuts. What are you doing? Turns out that's her son. She had an illegitimate child, and she got him a job. He was some sort of deaf mute or something, so she could keep an eye on him. And then turns out she saw them teasing her son, and she was the one who went crazy with a nail gun and killed all the sorority girls, not her son. So anyway, they end up taking her captive, I guess, or she gets arrested, whatever. Howard Johns is dead, and that's kind of the end of the movie. There you go. Anyway, a little bit of nudity, a little bit of gore, a couple of decent gore scenes, like when the drill got into the back of the guy's head. Now, this movie was also released in 3D. In fact, this Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray here comes with some 3D glasses. There's a couple different versions you can watch of it in terms of 3D and 2D. I obviously could watch the 2D because I don't have 3D television. But there's a bunch of extras on here, too. I think there's some audio commentary. And, well, I'll tell you what's on here, actually, because this is a fantastic release by Vinegar Syndrome. Let's see here. Additional info, region-free Blu-ray, blah, blah, blah. Special features, 3D glasses, commentary track with The Hysteria Continues. I don't know who that is. 45-minute making-of documentary, interviews with the cast and crew, deleted interviews, Meltdown to Man. It's just a lot of good stuff here. There's even some location featurettes. I love when they do that on DVDs and Blu-rays, where they take you to the film locations, how they look now, how they look then. That's pretty cool. So anyway, this is a great Blu-ray by Vinegar Syndrome. I'm very happy they got this out there. I've been looking for a good copy of this for a long time, so kudos to them. I highly recommend picking this up because a lot of these things go out of print soon. It's got a nice little slip here too. Can't go wrong there. So check it out, Silent Madness. Let me know what you think about it. Leave some comments down below. Watch it. Bye.